The former Health Secretary Sajid Javid, writing in The Times, has said that patients should be charged for GP appointments and A&E visits, as he called the current model of the NHS unsustainable. He said extending the contributory principle should be part of radical reforms to combat growing waiting times. So would a means-tested charge help patients get better access to care? Or is this the slippery slope to privatisation? Do you just wind up paying for the same service twice? This is the People's Hour, in which I'm taking your video calls. My Saturday sidekick is darts legend Bobby George, who's in the house and he's enjoying my apple cider vinegar. Let's speak to Susan now in Carmarthenshire. We'll go to Francis first. Susan's waiting in the wings, but Francis in Salisbury, in the company of Chaos the dog. What do you think about the idea of paying for a GP appointment or paying for A&E? If, Francis, it means no more queues, no more waiting.
Well, that would be a joke. It's going to just lead to more administrative and managerial jobs collecting the money. It's not going to lead to any effective care. What we need is to get more people in to see GPs and to pharmacists to take the pressure off A&E.
Yeah.
At the other end of the scale, we need to take or reduce the number of bed blockers. I know it's a horrible word to use, but that they are. And we need to improve our community care and our social care. Both are really important to improving throughput through hospitals. At the moment, I mean, I've seen it for myself. You know, there are no beds left in surgical wards. So how are we going to bring the waiting lists down? Hopeless, absolutely hopeless. I'm afraid Sajid, I've got a lot of time for him. He's a very bright and intelligent man. But it's this silly political top-down diktat, so-called ideas that really haven't got a grip of what's going on at all. You see, he's totally bored by what's going on as well. No, we need root and branch reform of the NHS. Charging here and charging there minuscule amounts isn't going to make a difference. Yes, we may need to nudge patients to make sure that they turn up to appointments in time or on time or fulfill them. That's important because there's a lot of wastage in the NHS. But then the whole NHS is not orientated towards patients either in terms of, you know, clinically, I think we have to sort of divide things. Clinically, we see a lot of good care from frontline nurses, frontline doctors. What we don't see is good holistic care in terms of the managers and administrators in terms of actually looking after patients. The NHS doesn't care about patient outcomes as a whole, making that distinction about clinical, because clinical is great, but it's in a silo. What we need to do, I mean, I unfortunately have a number of different issues, and, you know, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility. I'll be called in 5 times a week for appointments. Now, that's all good, but everything's living in a silo. I fight tooth and nail to get appointments sort of combined so that, you know, I don't have to drag in volunteers to drive me to the hospital and look after me because it's a complete waste of time. You know, so the NHS lives in its silos. You know, it's dreadful. It really is dreadful. But we can improve it. I'm very, very convinced we can improve it.
Well, I do wonder about that, Francis, because, of course, Chaos the dog, he gets pretty speedy service because you pay for the veterinary appointment. I wonder whether it changes people's mentality if they pay for the appointment. A, it means they turn up, and possibly people will think twice before bothering their GP. It gets rid of the hypochondriacs and the wasters. Let's ask Allan, who joins us right now as well. We'll bring Allan into the conversation alongside Francis in Salisbury. Allan, what's your view? Do you think Sajid Javid's got a point? He speaks with some authority. He knows the health service. He used to run it as health secretary.
2 minutes.
Thank you. Mark,
fair point.
Mark, last time I was on a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about the NHS being broken and, in fact, the country being broken. And all we're doing is regurgitating the same conversation right now. To see my GP is almost impossible. She actually rang me up the other day. Well, the receptor rang me up to say, can she have a chat with you on the phone on the 31st of January? And I said, well, actually, I'm going to be in Goa on the 31st of January. And I'm actually going to a wellness centre, which is run by 2 doctors. And I'm going to pay whatever rupees it costs to get all my stuff done while I'm over there. And now you know why all these celebrities are all going over to India to get all their medical stuff seen to. Because it's quicker, more efficient than getting anything done in this country at the moment.
Indeed. I mean, what do you think, though, about how if we had to make a small contribution, such as perhaps £10 for a GP appointment, would that change our attitude towards the NHS? Might we appreciate it more and might we abuse it less, Andrew? Allan.
For me or Andrew?
Yeah, well, Andrew's the other man in my life. Forgive me, Allan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if we mean test, if somebody can afford to pay £10 a month to cover the medical expenses, pay it. Those who can't afford will be covered by those who are paying it. So I've got no problems paying £10 a month. But we want to see the results. There's no point just throwing more money down the toilet and not getting any satisfaction for what we're spending. If we can see the results, we'll pay it.
Oh, well, there you go. Show me the colour of your money. Performance-related pay, accountability in the NHS. A quick word from darts legend Bobby George. Let's keep both of my friends here and let's bring Bobby into this conversation. Bobby, have you benefited from the services of the NHS? Would you be willing to pay for a GP appointment?
Yes, I would. I broke my back a few years ago and I paid for it privately because I wanted it done as quick as I wanted to get back on the stage.
Yeah.
With my knees, the same. I paid for one of my knees. I've got a hip, they've done... Well, everything else they've done free.
You're like the bionic man, aren't you?
I've got everything.
You've had more surgery than Cher.
But the thing is that, like that young man said, you go to abroad, you can go to India, you can actually go in a clinic in India, an hospital, ask them to want a replacement knee, and they say they check you over, and the next day they do the replacement knee.
Amazing.
For £3,000. Yeah. Against probably, I don't know, 9,000 if you've done it privately on the National Health. But I would pay, personally, to see the doctor. Yes, it stops, like Mark said, it stops people taking the mickey out of going with a pimple on their nose or something.
Yeah.
Or got a bit of a sore throat, and they go and see a doctor. I would pay if it helps. I don't mind paying. A tenner's nothing really today. If you can afford a tenner. Some people are on the drip, on the rock and roll. Yeah. So some people hold on to National Health, like old age pensioners. Not them, but people who are actually fit enough to go and see the doctor. That's a funny way to say it.
Well, I know, but I think that's a brilliant way of putting it, I've got to say. By the way, you've caught my eye, Bobby, with the idea of going to India. $3,000 for a knee replacement. I might pop to Mumbai for, I don't know
£3.
Really. Yeah. Tummy tuck for a tenner. Anyway, look, we'll get to more of your opinions shortly. We've actually taken a Twitter poll on whether we should pay for GP appointments, and we'll give you the results of that next.